Welcome to our weekly roundup of key economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. I'm Nishana Figuera, and here are this week's top stories. Sri Lanka likely to pass first IMF review. Japan Foreign Minister in Sri Lanka. Central Bank issues ultimatum to banks to reduce lending rates. July tourist arrivals in record high. In our main story this week, according to Bloomberg, Krishnamurthy Subramanian, Sri Lanka's representative on the International Monetary Fund Executive Board, has stated that Sri Lanka stands a strong chance of passing the first review of its $3 billion bailout as interest rates fall and foreign reserves build up. Subramanian added that Sri Lanka's efforts to achieve debt sustainability is in line with the IMF stipulations and are also progressing smoothly. The first review is scheduled in September this year. A successful review will result in the multilateral lending agency releasing its second tranche of Sri Lanka's extended fund facility. Yoshimasa Hayashi, Japanese foreign minister, is in Sri Lanka this week with a delegation of over 20. This is the first ministerial visit from Tokyo to Colombo since 2019. According to FT.lk, Hayashi is expected to discuss the ongoing debt restructuring process, which is co-chaired by the Japanese government, as well as several areas of bilateral cooperation. The visit is seen as a follow-up to President Ranil Wickremesinghe's visit to Tokyo in May. The central bank issued an ultimatum to the Sri Lanka's Banks Association to reduce lending rates. The governing body claimed that rates have only fallen disproportionately compared to deposit rates, which have been significantly adjusted lower. Since June, policy rates have fallen by 450 basis points. Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe added that such rigidity in lending rates would be counterproductive in the process of envisaged economic recovery, and the faster normalization of interest rate structure would not only benefit the businesses and individuals, but also the banking sector as well, through the expected improvement in the quality of credit. The letter also warned that failure by the banks to take immediate measures may compel administrative measures by the central bank in the period ahead. During the first 23 days of July, 104,664 tourists arrived in the country. This pushed the year-to-date visitor numbers to almost 730,000, an increase of 59% from a year earlier. Arrivals in the year have now surpassed last year's full-year visitor numbers. This week's arrivals increased the month's daily arrivals to 4,511. In July, India accounted for 17% of the arrivals, followed by the United Kingdom and China. Sri Lanka tourism has placed a target of just under 137,000 visitors for July. According to State Minister for Energy D.V. Chanaka, Sri Lanka is to set a maximum retail price for fuel in the future, with distributors free to sell below the price. This move comes as China's Sinopec is expected to bring its first shipment early next month, with retail distribution to commence shortly after. Moreover, the minister also stated that $300 million was saved as premiums on fuel imports paid by the state-run Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Gautam Adani, chairperson of Adani Group, pledged to complete the 500-megawatt solar and wind power project in Mannar and Punareen by January 2025. This was conveyed to a delegation led by Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe during a meeting in India last week. Such is in line with Sri Lanka's vision to transition to cleaner and more sustainable energy sources. Now let's take a look at the weekly movement of the All Share Price Index and the S&P SL 20 Index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all maturities contracted. Bids amounting to 252 billion were received, of which 155 billion rupees were accepted. The Sri Lankan rupee continued to depreciate against the dollar this week, with the central bank's indicative mid-spot rate ranging between 326 and 329. The rupee is now the worst performing currency in the world, having been identified as the best performing unit in the first half of the year. On Monday, the central bank further loosened exchange controls for companies and individuals migrating abroad, ranging from 20,000 to 100,000 US dollars. And with that, we wind up for this week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for regular updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.